All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four quarters of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a video going into how the Heavenly Father has no love or regard for the heathen nations. And the reason why I'm making this video is because you got clowns in this ministry who is basically trying to save the other nations. They're coming with a doctrine saying that heathens can be saved, and that they're going to receive immortal bodies. And that is just simply not true. And it is definitely not the case, because salvation, which only pertains to the Israelites, only pertains to the Israelites. Because first off, why did Yahweh Shai show up on the scene 2,000 years ago? Why did the Messiah show up 2,000 plus years ago? He showed up 2,000 plus years ago because Israel needed to be reconciled back to the Father. For he shall save his people from their sins. Now, as we all may know, sin is tied to that first covenant. And this is a question that no false prophet ever likes to deal with. And the question is this: Did the Lord ever establish his first covenant with the heathen nations? Were the Chinese people the biblical Moabites? Were the Japanese people the biblical Ammonites? Were the Arabians the biblical Ishmaelites? Were the East Indians the biblical Elamites? Was the self-proclaimed white race the biblical Edomites? Were the Hawaiians, the Samoans, the Etruscans, the Malians, which would be the biblical Japhetic people? Were the Africans the biblical Hamites? Were any of these heathen nations present alongside the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians? Were these heathens present alongside the Israelites when the first covenant was established with the nation of Israel? And this is a question that these false prophets don't ever want to deal with. They'll try to beat around the bush. They'll try to come at you with their brand of questioning. But they don't ever want to answer the question of whether these heathen nations was present with us when the Lord had established his first covenant. Because the only nation of people on the planet that needs saving are the Israelites. And what do we need saving from? We need saving from constantly being condemned under that first covenant, which we made after we cited with our own mouths that we would do all the laws which the Lord have commanded us, right? In his statutes and commandments, before Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar. No other nation was present except the nation of Israel when the Lord had established his first covenant. So how can the heathens receive salvation? In the Old Testament, Israel receiving salvation from their enemies have always been tied to Israel being in captivity because of breaking that first covenant. Okay? And you false prophets, you don't seem to understand that in the Old Testament, there was only one nation of people that the Lord have always saved from their terrible condition, and that's the nation of Israel. So when we go to Malachi, right, chapter 3, this is one of my favorite scriptures, because you people act like the Lord is double-minded. You know, he's subject to change. And that somehow he's going to change his mind and open the window of salvation for all nations under heaven. The Heavenly Father is not human. The Heavenly Father is not in corrupted flesh like we are. You see, we are subject to change and corruption because we are in corrupted bodies. But there is no corruption with the Heavenly Father. So when we read Malachi 3 verse 6, for I am the Lord, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed, we understand that when the Lord say he don't change, that means that the Heavenly Father is always going to be the way he is for eternity. He's not going to change his mind and open up salvation for heathens. And you can say that, well, what about the Gentiles of the New Testament? All you want. Because that does not change the fact that Israelites were being called Gentiles, especially by the circumcision, because there were Israelites living like heathens. That's just like a Israelite who wants to delve into the way of Hindu. Well, guess what? He's a Hinduist now. He ain't an Israelite. He's a Hinduist. So let us cast him out and look upon him as if he's a heathen, since he wants to take on the customs of a heathen. This is what was going on 2,000 years ago. So Paul, the Lord specifically raised up Paul to go to the Israelites that either looked like the heathens, but was living like the heathens, or to go to the Israelites that looked like your average Israelite, but was taking on the customs of the heathens. Because we cannot forget about the fact that even during the time of the Greek Empire, you had Israelites living amongst the Ishmaelites, the Arabians. You already had Israelites living amongst the East Indians. You already had Israelites living amongst the Hamites. You already had Israelites living amongst the Japhetic people. You already had Israelites living amongst the Chinese and Japanese. So what do you think those Israelites were doing? You think Israel was keeping their own customs living amongst these heathens? No. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the Lord said that the Lord will scatter you among all nations, and there ye shall serve gods, wood and stones, which ye your fathers have not known. So we were living amongst these heathen nations, even when the Greeks rose up to power, and we was worshiping and keeping their customs. So by time Yahawashai came on the scene, okay, you had Israel scattered amongst all of these nations, keeping their customs. And even during the time of the Greeks, you had Israelites that was completely Hellenized. Okay, Isaiah 40 verse 16, showing you the Lord don't change. This is what the Lord said during the time of Isaiah. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beasts thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing. This is talking about the other nations. Because when you go to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, what did the Lord say concerning the Israelites? He said that ye are a special people unto the Lord thy power. So the Israelites are a special people to the Lord, but every other nation under the sun are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. Come on, man. Okay. So why would the Lord suddenly change his mind and send his son back to die for a nation of people that is as nothing and less than nothing? If they were counted to the Lord nothing and less than nothing during the time of Isaiah, how much more when Yahawashai came on the scene? The nations still were counted to the Heavenly Father nothing and less than nothing. Even during the time of Paul, the nations were counted nothing and less than nothing to the Heavenly Father. So what do you think? What do you think the Lord is saying here? The Lord don't give a damn about the other nations. Shalom.